Hello and welcome to Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the show where we watch, review, and discuss every horror movie on Netflix. I am Chris, back here once again with Patrick.
Hey.
And Steven.
Hello, my father.
Yeah, we are men of the cloth today because we're going to be reviewing The Seventh Day, the relatively recent exorcism thriller. That was our pick given to us by the Cyber Wheel of Death last time. But before we do that, we like to do a little horror catch-up and share some of the things that we've been watching over the past couple weeks or reading or what have you. I haven't been really immersed in the world of horror in the last couple weeks. What about you guys?
I haven't really so much either. I'm kind of gearing up for Christmas and trying to find some new Christmas horrors I haven't seen. So I've made it my personal mission to watch all 5 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies because
there are 5?
Well, 6 if you include Silent Night, which is the remake, which I think I'm also going to try to watch.
Shit.
I've made it through the first 2. I'm not super impressed so far. I mean, there's some gonzo stuff in the second one that you can look up online if you've ever seen the Garbage Day clip that goes viral every couple of years. So far, I would say just watch Christmas Evil, but I'll report back. The next one sounds pretty wild. Patrick, you might appreciate this. Monty Hellman, director of Two-Lane Blacktop, one of the greatest American films of the 70s, wow. I believe wrote and directed the third film, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out, as a straight-to-video venture. So I'm sure that is a hot, steaming pile of trash, and I'm pretty stoked for it.
Is Silent Night, Deadly Night the one with, like, the Santa who goes on a killing spree, like mall Santa who loses his mind or whatever?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm completely naive to the franchise, other than you refuse to watch anything else until you complete this mission that you're on, which is annoying.
Hey, I did watch Uncut Gems finally, so give me some credit.
Oh, you did watch Uncut Gems?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but Steven's been bogarting my bootleg Abyss Blu-ray. He refuses to watch it.
You should have made an extra copy.
I feel like we need to drop in the soundbite of me taking you to task for your use of the term bogarting about people having Blu-rays that you've lent to them from the last time you were bitching at me for that.
Oh, that was a classic bit.
I don't remember that at all. But Steven, so is this is it an anthology or it's one continuity or what's the deal with all these sequels?
I mean, the first 2 are related, and the second one uses a shitload of footage from the first movie, which is pretty common for sequels of that ilk. The rest of them, I don't know. I mean, apparently there's demons. Apparently there are animated evil toys at some point.
Wait, is Christmas Evil... So Christmas Evil is part of the franchise?
No.
No.
No, I'm just saying Christmas Evil, if you're going to go for an evil Santa, to this point in my experience with holiday horror at this point in my life, I think that's still kind of top tier. I don't think you can beat that.
Is Christmas Evil Santa really evil?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's it is quite a moral quandary. Maybe that lends it some extra staying power.
I literally can't keep all these like evil Santa movies straight. There's Christmas Evil, there's Silent Night, Deadly Night, there's Deadly Games, there's fucking Northern something, I forget the name of it. There's too many. And there's that French one that we watched last year that I actually liked. I forget the name of that one now. Maybe that is Deadly Games. That is Deadly Games. Yeah. I can't keep them straight.
It's clearly you can't keep them straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are all, I think, very distinctly different movies, and the only thing they really have in common is that they're set at Christmas time.
Well, and an evil Santa, right? Don't they all have in some fashion an evil Santa?
Yeah, but very different evil Santas. Christmas Evil, again, I don't know, it's in the title, but I'm kind of with Chris. Maybe he's not entirely evil, but that's the one that's like super grungy from the late 70s with Fiona Apple's dad as like the creepy guy who works in the toy factory who just like loses his mind and thinks he's Santa Claus, and he goes out to punish all the bad kids in his flying van.
It's proto Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I do remember that. So then wait, what's Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Very, very similar. It's like a teenage kid kind of snaps while wearing a Santa costume, working at this really weird little toy store and starts murdering people.
Maybe I haven't seen that one. I think I've seen Christmas Evil. I don't think I've seen Silent Night, Deadly Night. Okay, great. Glad we straightened that out.
It's important.
Listen, the only Christmas movie we need to worry about is the best Christmas movie, Die Hard.
Oh my
God.
God.
Fuck you. No, it's Gremlins, bro.
I'm going to watch Gremlins tonight.
My favorite Christmas movie is Eyes Wide Shut. Which actually is I would argue that is a legitimately Christmas movie.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Maybe.
You're going to have to put that into the rotation this year.
What about you, Patrick? You been watching anything, reading anything? I know you've been reading something. This is the bookmeister over here.
You got a reader over here. Watch out.
I have been reading a ton lately, even more so than usual, but not a ton of horror. I did actually, weirdly, for the first time ever, finally read The Call of Cthulhu. I've read Lovecraft stories here and there over the years, but I've actually never read The Call of Cthulhu. And honestly, mostly I had read some of his most famously, heinously, egregiously racist stories just to see exactly how racist they were. And I have to say, even this one, which doesn't necessarily have a reputation as like one of the most racist, is still extremely racist. Yeah. So that was an interesting exercise. But I was actually led to it. And I'll throw this out there. It's not horror related, but if you like genre stuff, read The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Amazing, kind of modern urban fantasy, I want to say. Kind of reminded me of American Gods if you were talking about cities having physical personifications as opposed to gods having physical personifications. Just a wonderful, wonderful book that references Lovecraft and Call of Cthulhu a bit, which kind of led me to go back to the source text that I had never read. So fuck Lovecraft and fuck The Call of Cthulhu, but go read The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin instead.
Right on.
Sounds great. Yeah, well, I wish I had something to report, but it's the Yuletide season. I am rejecting all things horror related and bringing myself closer to the true meaning of Christmas,
which is Home Alone, right? On a loop.
So yeah, Home Alone on a loop, and getting in touch with Christ Jesus, which is what this movie is about that we watched this week, The Seventh Day.
Amen to that.
Amazing segue.
So The Seventh Day. Where to begin? So we have basically Guy Pearce stars as a exorcist, but he's not your father's exorcist.
No.
He does things a little differently here.
Oh, he likes rock and roll. He uses the F word with abandon. I mean,
well, and we thought Stephen Lang was going to be the rebel exorcist, but it turns out Stephen Lang is the fucking archbishop, and Guy Pearce is the maverick, the John McCain of exorcists.
Stephen Lang putting on a great performance, master of disguise. I haven't seen a lot of Stephen Lang roles, but the ones that we've seen, he kind of has the same sort of character, and this is a totally different guy. You won't even recognize him. Maybe
he's got fucking glasses and everything.
He's got glasses. He's got an accent
and no stubble. Oh my God! I mean, that was the biggest shock.
I know. I know.
He just disappears into this role.
Yeah.
It might actually be Gary Oldman as Stephen Lang.
Yes, it's Gary Oldman as Stephen Lang.
Well, I did not know going into this that Keith David was going to be in this for like 2 minutes. That was kind of shocking.
Same.
Yep. Keith David's in for 2 minutes. So we open with a real brief prologue where we see baby Guy Pearce as the little protege of Father Keith David. And they're performing a exorcism, and it goes awry, and the Keith David dies. He's killed by the devil.
Find out becomes the Joker, like literally becomes the Joker in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. I know. They were like, "What's the most horrifying thing that can happen to this child that's never been seen on screen in an exorcism movie before? What if he literally becomes the Joker?"
I dug the way that kid looked. I thought it was creepy. I dug the projectile crucifix that kills Keith David. I thought that was an interesting death sequence. Never seen that before.
I'm making jokes, but I was there for it. I like that.
I was slightly disappointed with that because like the necklace was pulling away from her neck, and I thought that it was just going to slice right through her neck from the back and decapitate her. So
I thought it was going to be like Ghost Ship.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the actual outcome there, but fine.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's just the prologue. Basically, Keith David dies. We find out that even the kid died, and then we cut to modern day, and it does this thing that I do not condone, where it shows like the traumatized eyes of baby Guy Pearce, but then it cuts to modern day, and we meet our main character, Father Daniel, like in a waiting room, and
exactly like the kid growing up.
Yes. So they broke one of the grammatical rules of filmmaking, which is when you have a close-up on a young character and you cut to modern day on a close-up on another character, it's got to be the same character. So I went through the first the next 10 minutes of this movie thinking that baby Guy Pearce grew up to be Father Daniel, but no, he grows up to be Guy Pearce.
I mean, it's Kubrickian. It's like the fucking bone turning into the space station in 2001. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, yes, it's two unrelated items bridged together by nothing but a jump cut.
In time. No, I thought it was very confusing, too.
Is that intentional, though? Are they trying to mislead us?
To what end would they do that, though? I can't think of a narrative reason for it.
But also, like, I can't imagine why they would have done that with two. I mean, the young actor and the older actor look very similar, and like they draw what seems like such a clear grammatic formal parallel between the two, apparently unintentionally. I don't know, it's very strange.
Here's what they were thinking.
Okay,
they're transitioning from one protege to another, and they don't know shit about editing, and they just didn't realize how confusing that was going to be. It was more of a thematic transition than anything else.
Could
or
be.
Maybe there was nothing meant. It was just like, all right, this happened, and now this is going to happen, and they didn't even think about what the cut was communicating. But it's all good. It's all good. I was hopelessly confused for the first 5 minutes of the following scene, but it's all good.
I can't wait for Justin W. Page or whatever the director of this's name is to email us GJ Actor Camp style and explain this whole thing and just knock us on our asses.
He should. I would love to talk to Justin P. Lange, the writer, director. I was fascinated by this movie, and we will get into it. But basically, this next scene sets up the premise of the movie, which is that our Father Daniel is he's a up and coming exorcist, fresh out of the exorcism academy, basically, and he gets teamed up, kind of as part of his graduation, with Guy Pearce, who is grizzled former exorcist. Like, is he still an exorcist? I guess he's still on the rolls.
Well, I mean, Stephen Lang explains, back in the good old days, we used to do more exorcisms, and now that's looked down upon. Like, the church doesn't really do exorcisms anymore, but there are still some priests, some mavericks, some John McCains out there who are still fighting the good fight. Guy Pearce is here, and he's your dude. He wears a fucking this striped sweater all the time. He acts like a badass. He talks like he thinks he's Mark Wahlberg.
Yes. Dude, I thought it was Mark Wahlberg. I knew it was Guy Pearce, but I put Mark Wahlberg in there in my imagination.
He's like, we don't wear fucking collars. That's for fucking priests. I'm an exorcist.
Yeah, they come in this, and Stephen Lang is being like the most frail elderly archbishop he can possibly muster, and then Guy Pearce is like, you think you know about exorcism, you son of a bitch? You're a pussy. Come ride with me for the day. And this movie basically
basically training day for exorcism.
I was like, this is fucking training day with exorcists, which sounds
like an amazing idea.
Premise. It is an amazing idea. It's something I would come up with on GChat.
Yeah.
Like here's an exorcism movie, but it's just training day, and that's what it is. And so they're like riding around in the car together. And Father Daniel's being very by the book, and Guy Pearce is like, nah, fuck that shit. We're gonna go harass some homeless people. It's incredible. It's incredible. And so that's basically the movie. You got these two priests. You got the maverick who's like, and the reason he's a maverick is because presumably, well, he kind of explains he's traumatized by this exorcism gone wrong, and he's kind of made it his life's mission to go after the demons and go after the devil, but maybe not in the traditional ways. And then, this new guy is fresh out of school. He's a true believer, and basically they encounter a boy who just murdered his family, and they suspect that it was the work of the devil. And so the basic premise of the movie is these two exorcists with different styles, different ages, are going to work together to help cure this boy of the devil.
Can we talk about that houseless encampment and what was going on there for a minute? Maybe I missed something, but my impression was the Guy Pearce was just like, well, we gotta see if you're any good at this. I can almost guarantee you that one of these fucks is possessed, and we're gonna walk around and you tell me who it is. Like, had he done any research ahead of time on who was actually camping out there, or was it just a shot in the dark?
Well, I mean, I think there's some revelations later in the movie that inform a lot of that.
Well, it's true, but if you're just following along chronologically through this story, I thought it's just very odd.
On first watch, it seems like Guy Pearce knows that there's a demon there, and he's just trying to see if Father Daniel can feel out the demon as well. And he's like, "How are you gonna stop evil if you don't recognize it?" Great moment.
Right, and he pegs the wrong person. It turns out like the woman who's cooking meals for all the houseless people or whatever, or who's like kind of like or directing the whole thing. Yeah. She's the demon.
Father Daniel goes straight for the only black man in the encampment. It's like, this guy's evil. And he's like, man, what are you talking about? And then they're like, no, actually it's the elderly lady who runs the thing.
It's pretty cringy. I thought it was hilarious when she kind of transitions into her demon mode. Do you remember that stray shot of the tent flying out of the encampment like a rocket? I screamed and rewound it and screamed again.
That was
amazing.
Great.
Lots of batshit stuff in this movie. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, that tent appears, it looks like it's on a wire.
It had to be. It's so funny because it's perfectly horizontal.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like the I laughed about as hard as I did in the scene in Red Dragon when Philip Seymour Hoffman is riding in the flaming wheelchair down the street. It's just inexplicably funny.
There's some good character development. I was actually really drawn into these characters at the beginning of this movie. Guy Pearce puts on a great performance in this. I mean, he fucking carries this movie.
Guy Pearce always puts on a great show. We love Guy Pearce.
This is his best performance since Prometheus. And
God, get the fuck out of here with that.
And
although to be fair, has he been in anything since Prometheus? The motherfucker is very selective about his roles, which really makes me wonder why he decided to do this.
He's not selective at all, man. If you go to his IMDb, pack a lunch. He's in so much more shit than I realized. And so much I haven't heard of.
Huh. If you go to his IMDb, pack a lunch. Is that something people say? That was hilarious to me.
It's something I heard somebody say once, and I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. So
he has been in a lot since Prometheus.
First time I saw it, this is interesting. Maybe, I don't know. It is to me. I'm a huge Guy Pearce fan. I'll watch him in anything, especially if Kate Winslet's in it. I forgot that he was in Mayor of Easttown. The first Guy Pearce movie I ever saw was The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, when I was like 8. Way too young for a movie about burnt-out drag queens in Australia. It left an impression on me.
Interestingly, he's become less selective over time. Like, early in his career, he was in some big movies, but he would only do like 1 or 2 a year and sometimes skip years. But like the last, I don't know, decade or so, he's been a lot more prolific. That's interesting.
Well, that's what streaming will do for you. He is a mid-budget actor. He is a mid-budget actor, and the mid-budget streaming explosion. Get you some Guy Pearce.
Or maybe he bought a castle like Jeremy Irons, and he's got to work to pay it off.
Jeremy Irons has a castle. That's amazing.
He gave a quote once saying like that's why he's in all these terrible movies, because he has to afford his castle.
Well, he's great, and he's a pleasure to watch in this movie. Mm-hmm. And there's a really good scene I liked where he basically explains all his traumas and his motivations to do the work that he does. And then he's like, why are you in this line of work, Father David? And like, Father David has nothing to say. And we're like, oh, Father David is just like, he's a straight A student, and he just wants to be like, he's just doing this because it's there, basically. He wants to be an exorcist for his resume.
Yeah, I mean, Guy Pearce was interesting in the way that Guy Pearce usually is, and also in the sense that, like, again, kind of fun to have this like rebel training day exorcist, but Father David, just not a lot going on there, man. Not a lot to draw
kind of a
you to
cipher.
this protagonist. Yeah, he is.
And I feel like that's
he's
kind
a
of the
wet
point.
blanket. I mean, it is, but also like there's no depth there.
There's significance
to
to that
see-
at the end of the film, but that doesn't carry me through the movie before I know what's going on at the end.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, we need to see. We need to find more. He doesn't really have a lot of character, and I feel like that is good at the beginning, but then maybe not when there's so many scenes of just him, like exploring like the boy and stuff like that. Like
He doesn't do anything to ingratiate himself to the audience. Like, he never saves the cat, even. Like, he's just kind of there. He's just there.
Yeah.
Just window dressing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to use one of our favorite phrases, it's hard to talk about this movie because there is a significant twist that does recontextualize the movie pretty extremely. So yeah, a little hard to talk about. The kid's good, I guess. Charlie's fine. Some good hallucinatory flashbacks to him axe murdering his family. That's all fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I found this movie to be, this is a term I use a lot, I found this movie to be very sleepy. And I found even the performances to be, for the most part, I mean, Guy Pearce turns it up to like 7 by the end of the movie, but I feel like he's perfectly fine. I'm not complaining. He just didn't feel very invested. It feels like he speaks very quietly most of the time. There's no score either, except when things get intense and then you have swelling strings. And that was something I noticed after a while. Like, there just wasn't, it didn't feel like there was a lot of momentum building on any level.
Yeah, it's very slow paced and feels rather uneventful for a movie that clocks in under 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt like 7 days.
I didn't get bored watching this movie. I will say that.
I didn't get bored. I just felt like a lack of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a roller coaster because I thought Guy Pearce was electric, and I love spending time with that character. But he's not in it. There's stretches of the movie because his character is really letting Father David kind of do his own thing because he wants Father David to develop. So he's like, Father David's like, oh, let's go check out this thing, and Guy Pearce is like, nah, you're going to check out this thing. I'm going to stay in the car and smoke a cig. And so Father David has to, he gets a lot of scenes where he's investigating the paranormal, but as we've discussed, he's not really a compelling character. And I'm just like, all right, I'm ready for more Guy Pearce.
Yeah, Guy Pearce is a mid-budget actor, but the budget for this was so low that Guy Pearce was like, you can have me, but I'm going to stay in the car and smoke a cig.
Right. Oh, I thought about that.
It makes you wonder how many days they had him for. Stephen Lang apparently shot for 3 days. And that shocks me because talk about Guy Pearce not being in this enough. He's barely in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has 3 scenes
He
total.
gets a lot. There's a lot of dialogue though. He's in there for some pages. They go back to him a few times. There's actually more Stephen Lang than I expected. I saw that first scene. I was like, oh, Stephen Lang this is his only scene. But no, he comes back quite a few times. And I really enjoyed him too. He's Stephen Lang, he's what they call an actor's actor.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, this reminded me strongly of what was that one that you liked, Chris, that you got on Blu-ray? Vatican Tapes.
Vatican Tapes.
Yeah. This
reminded me a lot of Vatican Tapes.
Yeah, it has that same very like budget exorcism movie with some recognizable actors and was of roughly the same caliber in my mind as the Vatican Tapes.
Yes, and in my mind too. And here's the thing: like the Vatican Tapes was a little batshit, and this movie's a little batshit. Mm-hmm. But I can never tell with these exorcism movies if any of it's knowingly batshit or if it's very self-serious. Because I find a lot of the elements of exorcism just to be silly or fun, and I don't know if that's the right reading of it. But it's how I appreciate it. I enjoyed most of the stuff in this movie, and the little paranormal investigation stuff. There's one point where they're like, how did this child get possessed? And they track his movements, and they decide he used to hang out in this like dilapidated skating rink, and some other kids took him into the back room, and he played with a Ouija board, and that's how he got possessed.
Okay, I had a question in that moment. I don't think I've ever seen a Ouija board in like a traditional Catholic possession movie, and I'm wondering if those are sanctioned by the church. Or wait, no, he gets in trouble. He gets in trouble with Stephen Lang afterward for doing that.
Well, in The Exorcist, she's playing with a Ouija board at the beginning.
Oh, really? God, I totally forgot.
She's talking to Captain Howdy on the Ouija board.
That's right. But I guess, I mean, have we ever seen a priest use a Ouija board before?
Oh, I don't know. This might be the only time on film that we've seen a priest use a Ouija board.
I thought it was pretty batshit and novel. I liked it.
I like that. So that's what I texted you guys, and I said there was a moment where I said, "Oh, yes." That was when they revealed the Ouija board.
I thought it was going to be the tent.
No. You show me a Ouija board. When you take me halfway into a movie and then you pull out a Ouija board, you have my attention.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you guys were so like knocked out by that. I mean, to me, that's just it's so tropey. I mean, I didn't dislike it being there, but it certainly didn't strike me as novel, I guess.
I just love Ouija board scenes.
I do too.
This was a pretty good one. This was a pretty good Ouija board scene.
What's the best Ouija board scene, Chris, in your estimation?
Origin of Evil.
I don't know. Yeah, it's probably got to be something in Ouija Origin of Evil, but I haven't seen that movie since it was in theaters.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured that'd be your answer. Well, should we review it? I feel like we've kind of run out of gas without being able to discuss the big spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just so much the spoiler, but like there's a lot of batshit stuff that I want to talk about, but it would just become us recapping the whole plot. So we might as well go into the spoiler room to do that. So I guess it's time to review it. Steven, how about you, sir? Would you view it? Would you cue it? Or would you screw it?
I'm going to give it a screw it, but not with prejudice. I mean, it's watchable, little sleepy, did have some novel moments in it for me, like we talked about. The Ouija board, the flying tent, the crucifix necklace foo. There's some floating pencil foo later on that I kind of enjoyed. But for the most part, it didn't really stand apart to me from other kind of mid-budget, like straight-to-streaming horror movies that we've reviewed on the show before. So I can't think of a compelling reason to advise anyone to check it out. Screw it. Chris?
I'm going to give it a view it.
Whoa! Okay. Coming in hot.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get bored with this movie, and it entertained me a lot. And the basic premise of Training Day with exorcists was just a source of delight for me. There was a lot of fun scenes. The ending I did not like, and anytime I thought it was starting to get a little too self-serious, then I didn't like it. But for the most part, this thing moves. It's fun. It's batshit. It's crazy. In terms of exorcism movies, it held my attention. Guy Pearce is a delight to watch. He really carried this thing. And it was just a crazy movie, and it was a very unique viewing experience. My life would be poorer had I not been exposed to this film.
Wow.
So I'll give it a view it. That's not to say it's a fantastic movie, but it satisfied me. Patrick.
I'll give it a rather frustrated screw it, because there are elements of the concept that are really intriguing to me. I mean, once again, Exorcist, Training Day, awesome. Love that concept. But to me, it just didn't really do much with that or deliver on it. Like, that just opens up possibilities for so much fun, batshit stuff that I didn't get from this movie. And, there's, again, a twist that we'll talk about in the spoiler room, which also is pretty cool, but just wasn't fully delivered on to me, and ended up winding up feeling like some sort of sequel setup almost more than anything that actually worked within the context of this movie. So just, frustrating in that there are ideas here that are novel and have potential, but just don't go a whole hell of a lot of anywhere for me.
I wish it had leaned more into being a beat for beat remake of Training Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I want him to get in the car and Guy Pearce is like, drink this. That's demon blood. He's like, what? And it's like, has to drink it like a dark song.
Yeah. Like, go crazy with this concept. And they didn't.
Go crazy. But I think, I don't think it goes crazy because I think, and again, this is a reason why I'd like to talk to the writer-director. It seems like this is a movie that wants to be about something, wants to say something. I think it's kind of, we'll talk about it more, but I think the message is a little confused. But there's a purpose. I think there's a meaning in this movie. He's not just going to go for silly shit, even though that's the movie I want to see.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. Well, I guess we'll head on to the spoiler room and talk about this plot in a little more detail and talk about that twist we've been alluding to. But before we do that, if you can't wait 2 more weeks to listen to us, go online. Check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're at EHMONcast, EHMON cast. You can go to our website, everyhorrormovieonnetflix.com. Check us out there. We've got a merchandise store where we have a t-shirt for sale, but you can get the same print put on a coffee mug or, a variety of items, really. And you name it, they can put that design on it.
A kitchen apron, perhaps.
Get an apron. It's the holidays. You're going to be making Christmas cookies. You need an apron that has an image of a TV ejaculating blood all over a man. You need this in your home for the holidays. It's Christmas time. Perfect gifts. If order now, rush shipping, maybe you'll get it by St. Patrick's Day.
And since we're talking about perfect Christmas gifts, what would be the perfect Christmas gift to us is to go to your podcast provider of choice and leave us a rating or a review. We love to see your feedback, and it helps people find the show. God damn it.
Yeah. Well, and if it's a Christmas gift, 5 stars only. I think we can safely say that, right?
Yeah.
This month,
4 stars,
5 stars only.
Yeah.
This month, you put a star on the Christmas tree, you send 5 to your boys.
Yeah.
That's
Don't troll us. Don't troll us.
No trolls. We don't need no elves. We don't need no Grinches.
No.
We need angels
kindness,
only.
Joy. Yeah. tidings of, what's that called? Tidings of comfort and joy.
Yeah. Leave some fucking cookies and milk out for Santa. Leave some carrots out for the fucking reindeer. And leave some stars out for the Every Horror Movie on Netflix gang.
For your boys.
All right. Well, go watch the movie if you want to watch the movie. Otherwise, stick around and we'll be back in just a few seconds to spoil everything about the 7th day. Welcome back to Every Horror Movie on Netflix. We are down here in the spoiler room, getting ready to spoil everything about the 7th day. 7th day, training day. I don't think that's a coincidence. So like we said, the main plot line here is this young boy named Charlie. He didn't just bite your finger. He killed his entire family with an axe, which I feel like axe murder is probably not that easy. Have you ever thought about that?
I thought you were just going to ask if you ever axe murdered anybody.
No, but listen, I can hardly chop wood with an axe, right? And I know like a human body is more mushy than, I could probably break up watermelons with an axe pretty easily, but is the human body, I feel like you're hitting someone with an axe, you're doing a lot of blunt trauma, but it's not just gonna it's not gonna be like cutting a watermelon, especially if you're a young boy, right? We're talking about a young boy.
Well, it depends how much you sharpen your axe. You got to sharpen it first.
But the young boy has demonic power. He has demonic power.
Well, there we go.
He has big demon energy.
He's got big demon energy. Guys, if you want to boost your numbers at the gym, get possessed by the demon. You'll be benching your personal record in no time. But yeah, so he, you know, we tour the house where the murders happened. He's able to just get in, and you know, obviously something a priest would never be able to do. But Guy Pearce is like, we're confronting millennia old ancient evils, and you're worried about a trespassing citation. So Father Daniel explores his house. He sees all the, like, you know, hallucinations of the grisly murders. Notably, he sees a scene that implies that young Charlie was possibly abused by a priest who came to visit him, which is quite interesting from a thematic level, especially, but then it's never discussed again or referenced again.
Well, in the sister, in that scene, the sister also uses a gay epithet when referencing him too, and that never led to anything either. Like if you're gonna throw out the F word, you gotta back it up with something.
Right, and I was confused because I thought maybe like there was a presence that had been in the house for a while, because I thought that maybe we were in a different era, because they're all wearing like clothes from like the 60s. They're wearing like sweaters, turtleneck sweaters and shit at the dinner table, and then, you know, yeah, they're using that word and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe this scene takes place in 1950 or something. Nope, I guess that was just present day. Yeah, so a lot of stuff that make you say, in this house sequence. And then at the end of the movie, you're still pretty much saying, about it. Yeah. But let me drop some facts that I learned from an interview with writer-director Justin P. Lange about, he grew up Catholic, no surprise. And he says that, you know, he's not necessarily Catholic now, and he's got a mixed relationship with the church. And I guess this movie was intending to sort of doubt the institution of the church. He talks about Father David having good intentions. He says he has good intentions, he wants to do good, and then he sort of gets swallowed up by the noise. And we are on this journey with him where he's sort of being swallowed by the institution of exorcism, and he has to find his way back to the start and see the forest through the trees and really realize why he's there. It's really about this boy, to save this boy and do right by this boy. So I think that there's a theme that he's trying to work on where it's like, okay, the church as an institution has all these issues in it, and our hero sort of has to decide he's going to go be a maverick himself at the end of the movie to save the boy.
I mean, that sounds good on paper. I don't think I really sussed much of that out of the movie itself, though.
No, especially because, I mean, the movie ends with him in Stephen Lang's office again, you know, very much a part of the church as an institution.
The big important detail, it also kind of dovetails into what you're talking about too, though, is that, like, the big twist is Guy Pearce is actually evil. Guy Pearce is a demon.
Yes, that's revealed at the very end. But yeah, Guy Pearce is the demon. He's a demon.
And has been going around, like, trying to corrupt other priests and create other demon priests. So there's
old demon priest army.
Themes of some institutional rot going on here, which is cool. You know, again, it's like, you know, Steven talks about how he hates exorcism movies, and I had never really thought about that before. It's not a genre that I have any strong feelings about one way or another until semi-recently in my life. I've always just been like, okay, whatever, it's a possession movie. But I feel like we watched enough at this point that I am starting to develop a similar dislike for them. But this movie frustrated me because it leaned into some of the same tedious tropes, but also broke with some of them in a way that was interesting but didn't quite follow through. You know, we've got we talk about how often, like, an exorcism movie involves a woman chained to a bed, you know, and this one is more about the victims are primarily little boys, and there is that implication of abuse at one time, and that's interesting, you know, to do something different there. It just doesn't really follow through with it in a way that delivers anything on that twist of the trope. And kind of similarly, it's cool that the demon actually turns out to be the priest, and that the church is presumably full of these, like, other demon priests who he's corrupted at this point. That's kind of a cool concept, but it's it's explained so late, and kind of in a way that seems to be setting it up for, oh, now Father Daniel has to go track down all the demon priests in the 7th day too, or the 8th day, or whatever it's going to be called, you know, the sequel that's never going to fucking happen, which felt very Corbin Nash to me.
Yes.
I don't know. There's just interesting ideas here that are not completed almost. They're just like, it's a napkin sketch of some of these ideas that's kind of thrown at us, and it's like, okay, you do what you want with this now.
I agree completely. And I mean, not to be a referee or a prude or anything, but like, I feel like if you're gonna allude to sexual abuse by clergy, they should have a little more intention, and it should amount to something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not just something you put in a movie for 30 seconds and then say, all right, well, we're moving on now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's the big spoiler though. Guy Pearce is evil, which I did not like. I did not like him being evil.
Huh.
Because I was one of the things I was most emotionally attached to in this movie was Guy Pearce's motivations and his story about, you know, the exorcism gone awry that we saw in the beginning, and how it really put this mission in his heart. And then it's like, oh, well, he's actually a demon. Doesn't really connect the dots for me. It seemed very incongruous. It seemed like, okay, well, we need a twist, and here's the twist. Guy Pearce is going to be evil. And I have because that's the thing. Guy Pearce has been recruiting other clergy into a demon pact, I guess. And then at the end, Father Daniel gets a dossier from Stephen Lang of like all the demon priests in the world. And he's like about to go hunt them down. And he like looks in the fucking rearview mirror of his car, like at the camera,
driver.
Like, are you ready for this shit?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not. I don't want to see Father Daniel hunting down. I want to see Guy Pearce hunting down demon priests. But this character who just had nothing going on all movie, I'm sorry.
It felt like I had watched a really decompressed first act. You know, I was like, or maybe first 2 acts or something. I was like, you're robbing me of like the whole ending of this movie. Like, this is just a setup, you know. I felt like it was just table setting.
Yeah. I want to see him put the dossier on the passenger seat. Then I want to see him put a crossbow in the back seat.
Yeah.
And then I want to see another half hour where he's just pulling up to different churches and crossbowing the priests, and they're bursting into flames.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I just wanted this to be a little more grindhouse than it ever intended to be.
Right. Well, that's the thing, because it's not real. Like we said, it's not, or like I said, it's not trying to give us Training Day with Priest. It's not trying to be grindhouse. It's trying to be relatively serious and sincere, but then it gives us an ending where it's like really pulpy.
Yeah. Well, and like now I want to write this, but it's like, it's too clearly it would be a ripoff of the 7th Day, but I want to like rewrite this as the movie that I want to see, because I think it would be fucking great.
You know what? You just don't say that. You just don't admit to it, and you'll get away with it.
I just did live on air.
Oh, we can cut that. We can cut any mention to my Funhouse remake script too. Just make people think that's an original idea. I mean, that's the thing with remakes too. Like, I mean, this is hardly a hot take, but like, why aren't we remaking movies like this that don't work, and like making them like allowing them to live to their potential?
Oh yeah, that's a great Stop trying to fuck with the classics. I don't need to see a remake of fucking Halloween
or the fucking Exorcist. Sit the fuck down, David Gordon Green.
Yeah, I want to see David Gordon Green remake this movie with Guy Pearce back.
I'm good. I don't need any more David Gordon Green content. Just period. You know, George Washington, good time, but we're good. David Gordon Green can retire.
I want to see a movie called Father Peter Kills. That's Guy Pearce's character name. I don't think we said that on the show yet. There's a big, like, overblown, like, action sequence that takes place in the youth center, which is like a fucking maximum security Arkham Asylum. I don't know if that's typically what youth centers look like. But
well, you mean like a juvenile detention center, right?
Yeah. Juvenile detention, but like there's an you know, every movie now has to have an interrogation room scene, especially when your child is channeling the Joker. So there's a sequence that, like, if you have photosensitivity issues, will put you in the hospital.
Are you talking about when he's slashing people up inside the interrogation room? When the lights keep
And
flickering
then
on and off?
after that, when the Father Daniel is in the hallway there's just like strobe lights going off nonstop. Yeah, I don't know. There's an interest because the little boy tells Father Daniel basically that Guy Pearce is evil, and so then there are some interesting scenes when Father Daniel and Guy Pearce, Father Peter, are preparing for this exorcism, but like there's some tension because we think Guy Pearce is evil, but it's not explicit yet. Mm-hmm. And that's fun. Then the facade drops and Guy Pearce reveals himself as evil. And Guy Pearce does this, you know, very cool acting turn where he goes from like, I'm normal Guy Pearce to I'm demon Guy Pearce now. But for some reason, in like the middle of his acting turn, they cut away to the reaction shot of Father Daniel, like looking at him. And we miss the performance. And that bothered me. Didn't bother anyone else? I'm the only one? All right.
I was fairly checked out by that point in the movie. I did like the obligatory one bite of the apple bit that he did.
Oh, that was great. That was great. I'm sure that was not an ad lib. I want it to be an ad lib, but I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, he's like, this is fresh, and he just throws it. Yeah, that was great. Or no, he said it's ripe or something. This is ripe, and then he throws it away, like gross.
Mm-hmm. Guy Pearce, I mean, he goes full demon. He becomes Patrick Wilson at the end of this movie.
I mean, that's an insult to Patrick Wilson. I don't think he's quite on that level.
Yeah,
no.
This is not full dun dun dun.
Then he's going batshit. How does he end up dying?
He gets stabbed in the same place.
Yeah, with the crucifix
in the carotid artery or whatever. Same way Keith David died.
Yeah.
With a crucifix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The same crucifix?
Ooh, good question. Probably not. That would be too cool for this movie.
Well, because Guy Pearce gave him that crucifix.
Yeah, which he didn't want to take. So I think it's the same one.
Oh wow, I missed that.
Pretty
cool stuff.
But when they start doing the exorcism, like little Charlie is like about to burn alive, just like the other kid did, and Father Daniel's like, I don't think this is Charlie. Hey Charlie, I don't think this. And Guy Pearce is like, don't fucking talk to Charlie. Don't just read the script, bro. Everything's fine. Yeah, his skin's boiling a little bit. Just keep reading the fucking script, bro. And I guess the implication is that Guy Pearce is gonna have the kid catch fire, and then I guess is that gonna turn Father Daniel to evil? I don't know. But that's where we get the sort of turn where like Father Daniel has to make the decision to be like, no, I'm actually not going to follow the old ways. I'm going to,
I'm a good
follow
priest.
my instinct and my heart and be the good priest.
Be the real maverick.
So, I mean, he learned something, but not enough to, go rogue and walk the earth like Guy Pearce, because he ends up back in the office with Stephen Lang at the end as a good Catholic soldier.
Well, should we stick a crucifix in the carotid artery of this conversation?
I've got nothing left to contribute.
I guess I got nothing else.
All right, well, perfect movie.
Perfect film.
A perfect film.
I enjoyed this movie. Fuck you guys. I would watch The Eighth Day, but they would have to bring me Guy Pearce back as a ghost or a demon. He could come back. Listen, if Stephen Lang can come back from the dead for Avatar 2, Guy Pearce can come back from the dead in the demon movie, The Eighth Day.
It would be great to have him just as like a fucking like Obi-Wan blue ghost in the passenger seat, fucking talking shit while Father Daniel's driving around trying to kill all his demon priests.
Being a demon, and he has to kill all the demon priests to rid himself of the haunting of demon Guy Pearce ghost.
Yeah, sounds great.
we can fundraise. We can get the 8th Day made, and we can produce it, and it could be that movie.
The 7th Day fans are clamoring for it, man. They'll chip in. They'll show up.
I wonder how many people have seen this movie because it was produced in part by Redbox. So I assume there are fucking DVDs of this, scattered to the four winds. It's out there. It's available.
Scattered to fucking animals across the country.
Yeah, I'm going to go get a fucking prepaid Visa and go to a Redbox and check this out and never bring it back.
Oh my God, what a scam. I never would have thought of that.
I don't know if that works, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
All right, well, let's hope you're not in prison when we do our very special next episode.
Yeah, we're bringing you a holiday tradition for EHMON, but also a little surprise this year. It's got a special twist. We always do our year-end episode where we look back at some of our favorite horror films from EHMON that we've watched for EHMON, as well as just things that we've enjoyed in general from the year. We give out the coveted Spirit of J Award, where we all nominate the character from an EHMON movie this year that we thought best represented the Spirit of J.
And we can't all pick Guy Pearce. I'm just going to throw that.
Yeah, not in the running for me. I have to figure out who's this year's Mr. Bonku. But the special twist is that this year we're going to be doing that episode live on Twitter Space.
Live on social media, probably on a Twitter Space, if Twitter Space is still a thing. So there might be a little, some interactive content. You might be able to call in, talk to us a little bit, get on the show if you're well behaved, or especially if you're not well behaved. But details of that will be forthcoming, but we're looking at doing it on the 28th of December. So, there's that lull between Christmas and New Year where you're like, I don't know, I got nothing to do.
Come hang out with us online.
Have a cup of Auld Lang Syne.
Come have a cup of Auld Lang Syne with us, and then we'll be releasing that as an episode on December 30th, so you can listen to it right before the year ends for tax purposes.
Well, as low energy as I have been today, I am very excited for that special episode.
Oh, yeah.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
going to drink 2 Monsters before we do that one.
We always have a great time on that episode. It's always one of my, perhaps one of the only things I look forward to about this podcast every year. Just kidding.
Damn. Wow. Damn.
Just kidding. I also look forward to the next time that we review 2 James Wan movies in a row.
I'm not going to allow that to happen again. I can tell you that.
Hopefully that'll be soon.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's our show for today. Join us on December 28th for whatever live recording session we end up doing to close out the year. And then if you miss it, don't worry. 2 days later, you can listen to it on your podcast provider of choice, just like you listen to this episode. Until then, for every horror movie on Netflix, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Steven.
Goodbye.